Hey guys, That Mom here. We are in my sleep series, and today we're going to be talking about 3 to 6 month old sleep. So much happens in this stage of development. Your baby is changing so much month to month to month, and as they change, so does their sleep. If you watched the previous video, you know that up to this point, while you've had a newborn, so from 0 to 3 months, your baby has been sleeping a lot, but their wakeful periods have been really short, only about 30 minutes to maybe an hour long, and that they were sleeping at most up to 3 hours, even at night, and that they needed to be parented to sleep each time that they slept. Well, all of this starts to change when your baby turns 3 months. Now, granted, every child is different. You're not just going to want to watch the calendar and go, oh, you're 3 months now time to change everything. You'll start to see that your baby will gradually start to adopt some of these changes. And some of them you might need to help them along to develop some of these skills. So some things that you can look forward to now that you have a 3-month-old is that your baby will be sleeping a little bit less. Where a newborn was sleeping 14 to 18 hours in a 24-hour period, a 3-month-old is going to be, 3 to 6 month olds will be sleeping 14 to 16 hours in a 24-hour period. You're still going to want to keep in mind the things that we talked about in the last video, where your days work in a full 24-hour cycle. And in those 24-hour cycles, your 3 to 6 month old should be sleeping between 14 and 16 hours. So they're sleeping a little less. So what this means is that they are going to have some more wakeful time. Their wakeful time is going to start to, during the day, is going to start to look like an hour to an hour and a half in between their naps. Now you notice that I said during the day. If you were doing some of the things that we talked about in the last video, where you were really working on developing a good circadian rhythm in their newborn stage, at this point, you're starting to reap the benefits of all that work. By the time they're 3 months, if you were working on instilling a good circadian rhythm, your baby should start to understand the difference between day and night sleep. So during the day, they'll have wakeful periods of about an hour to an hour and a half. Then they're going to go down and they're going to take anywhere between a 50-minute to a 2-hour nap. You know, every kid's a little bit different. And then at night, you're going to start getting longer periods, which is obviously really exciting. But let's not get too excited, because the longest period you should really be getting at this stage is 4 to, at the very most, 5 hours in one stretch at night. So it's still not the full night's sleep that we're used to getting as adults, but it is a lot better than only a 2 or 3 hour stretch that you were getting with a newborn. So yes, you are going to get a longer stretch at night. Odds are you're only going to get one of these longer stretches. So like at least with Q, she would, even though you know, her bedtime was kind of around like 8ish, she would wake up at about 11. So still within that 3 hours, I would feed her and everything. And then she'd go down from about 11 to 3, sometimes maybe 4. And then she'd go back to just about the 2 to 3 hours that she does during the day. So I really would only get one long stretch, but that one long stretch can really make a difference. You're probably not going to get 2 or even 3 of these 4 and 5 hour long stretches at night. You're really only going to get one. But this is all really good news. Your baby's spending more time awake during the day, so they're having more of an opportunity to learn from their environment and for you to start engaging with them and playing with them. You'll really start to see your babies developing a bit of a personality by this point. They are having a more predictable type of nap schedule. So this was when I really started to look up nap schedules for 3-month-olds online. There are a gazillion different options out there when it comes to nap schedules, so you can really find one that works for you. They have ones for stay-at-home moms, work-from-home moms, working moms, formula feeding, work-from-home moms, breastfeeding work-from-home moms, formula feeding stay-at-home mom, breastfeeding. I mean, they have sample schedules out there for everything, but you can kind of start to adapt a routine nap schedule. So that, you know, is nice. You can start to have a little bit of predictability to your day for maybe getting other things accomplished in your life. And you kind of just start to feel a little bit more human around this 3-month age. Another huge thing that you're going to want to start to do with your 3-month-old is to introduce this concept of your baby putting themselves to sleep. Like we talked about in the last video, up to this point, your baby has had to be parented completely to sleep. So that meant you were either rocking it, nursing it, whatever it is that you like to do, basically until they're completely asleep, and then gently putting them down, hoping not to wake them. Well, now that's going to change. Now you want your baby to start to learn how to self-soothe and put themselves to sleep. So what that will look like is you're going to either nurse or rock them or whatever it is you like to do until they get drowsy but are still awake. And then you're going to put them down and they're going to learn how to self-soothe themselves to sleep. Now there are different techniques that you can use, that you can teach your baby. You can look up self-soothing techniques for baby and you can kind of try to encourage this. But what's important about this is, if you remember me talking in the last video, I talked about how this itty bitty baby that you have now is one day going to be a great big baby and a child, and you want to start instilling some things that you're going to want to see in them as they get older. You're not going to want to have to fully parent your child to sleep for all of eternity. And even if you are willing to rock them to sleep for the rest of their lives at bedtime, you most certainly are not going to want to do it all night long. So remember, your baby has a sleep cycle. When they get to be about 3 to 4 months, their sleep cycle changes and it's a little bit longer. They are now, their sleep cycle is anywhere between like an hour to an hour and a half instead of, the 50 minutes of a newborn. But they still have the sleep cycle where they go from light to deep to light sleep, and in those moments of light sleep, they're easily aroused, and so they can wake up. Well, if your baby completely depends on you to get them back to sleep each time they wake, what happens is every hour when your baby goes through that sleep cycle and they do a partial arousal, which is totally normal. Think about how many times throughout the night you wake up and either roll over, fix the comforters, fix the pillow, and you're able to soothe yourself back down to sleep. Well, unless you teach your baby how to self-soothe, they're not going to be able to do that when they have these partial arousals. So, I was mentioning how moms will be like, oh my God, my baby woke up every hour last night and I don't know what to do. That's because your baby doesn't know how to self-soothe. They're waking up every hour at this partial arousal and now going, ah, crap, what do? I'm awake and I only know how to fall asleep if mommy's holding me. I only know how to fall asleep if daddy's rocking me. I only know how to fall asleep if they're walking with me up and down the hall. So you're going to want to introduce some self-soothing techniques at about 3 months of age. That way, as your baby grows, when they do these partial arousals, they can get themselves back to sleep. This was something that I learned the hard way. So what ended up happening, like I said, every baby's different. So I knew that I was supposed to introduce Q to this concept of getting herself to sleep around 3 months old. But what happened was I tried. I, would nurse her, rock her, get her drowsy, and I'd put her down, and well, she would cry. And I'm thinking, oh no, my baby cried. She must not be ready. I don't want to rush her. And I'd pick her up and I'd put her to sleep. And I just thought when she was ready, she would just start doing it. And what happened was I had a baby who was doing great and was sleeping these nice occasionally 5-hour stretches at night, who is now waking every 2 hours, then every hour and a half, and then every hour. And basically really just needed me to put her back to sleep. She wasn't even wanting to nurse each of these times. So I was able to, through process of elimination, see that she wasn't waking because she was temperature uncomfortable. She never felt hot or clammy. She never felt cold. She didn't want to eat. I would offer and she wouldn't want to eat. I would always check her airways and they always seemed clear. So I knew that all of her needs were met. And what I was noticing was happening was the second I would pick her up, she would settle back down. I had a baby who only knew how to fall asleep in my arms. And that was because I didn't try teaching her this at 3 months. I waited, and I had a 4-month-old baby now who had no idea how to put herself back to sleep. So she'd have partial arousals in the middle of the night and then needed mommy to get her back down to sleep. So I learned that lesson the hard way. It probably would have been far easier for me to have introduced the concept when she was first developmentally ready for it at that 3-month-old stage. And even though realistically, she probably would have cried a little bit still at 3 months, but it would have been easier to work through then when she was primed and ready for it than when it was after a month of me reinforcing her inability to sleep without me. It was a little bit harder when I went to go try and do it at 4 months, but I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later. So you're really going to want to try and introduce this concept to your baby. Like I said, it's totally normal. They're going to cry, but look up some of those self-soothing techniques and try and teach them how to do some of those and slowly fade out your presence so your baby can be a little bit more independent. Keep in mind, some of you have been waiting for this moment for a really long time. Now's your opportunity. It may not always be easy, but there's still gentle ways of doing it. Don't feel like you have to instantly go and do cry it out, lock the door and go out. You can just teach your child some of these gentle soothing techniques, and it will be a lot easier than if you wait down the road. So as you can see, a lot happens even just in that first month in this new stage of development. I mean, when your child turns 3 months old, in that month alone, they are staying awake for longer periods of time. They are having more organized sleep, so day sleep versus nighttime sleep. They're sleeping for a longer stretch at night, and they're learning how to put themselves to sleep independently. Another thing that you can start to incorporate into your 3-month-old schedule is the concept of an actual formal bedtime routine designed for them. I've always talked about making sure that you kind of have some sort of a predictable nighttime routine, but this is going to be the stage where you're going to really want to look at, like for me, for instance, with Q, this was about the age when I started to incorporate. I had like a little baby yoga thing that I did with her and some baby massage. We sang a little song. I mean, we really started to develop what is still to this day part of our bedtime routine. Her bedtime routine really kind of took shape at about this age, and it really became predictable because it was around this age that I instilled a different bedtime for Q than what Daddy and I had. I mentioned in the last video, Q would almost stay up with us until she was about 3 months of age, and then, you know, would transition into the bedroom with us when we went to bed. But around between 3 and 4 months, I decided that it was time. She was really showing signs of being pretty dang tired by 8 p.m. There was no point in me keeping her, you know, out in the main part of the house until 11. If she was showing signs of being like, hey guys, my day is done. I'm ready to hit the hay. So I started to instill about an 8 o'clock bedtime for her right around somewhere between 3 and 4 months of age. It really is a glorious month. I remember in Q's 3rd month of life there, things just changed really rapidly, and I was like, wow, this is great. And then what happens when you get into that 4 month? You're going to hear about a 4-month sleep regression. And I went through what I thought was the same exact thing. It was just as she was approaching 4 months old that, like I just described, she started waking up, you know, more and more and more frequently. And then it got to the point where she was literally waking up every single hour. And it was really hard. I mean, I had days where I woke up Daddy just crying and just being like, can you please take her so I can, you know, just get an hour of sleep. And it was really difficult. So this 4-month sleep regression is something that you're going to hear a lot about. And for me, like I said, I did a lot of research, and whenever I would read anything about sleep training, no one ever mentions the 4-month sleep regression as if it's like a real thing. I would only ever hear moms talking about the 4-month sleep regression and how their baby's just sleeping less, and they make it sound like it's a permanent thing, and I just got traumatized. I was like, there is no way that this could be the rest of my life. I had a baby who was sleeping fantastically. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I looked into some different strategies that I'm going to share with you in another video. But what I basically want to say here in preparation for that video later is that the 4-month sleep regression is not something that needs to take over your life. By following some of the techniques and things that we've talked about up until this point, you can really set yourself up for success for completely avoiding the 4-month sleep regression. So think about some of the things that we've talked about from the previous video and this video up until this point. Work on getting a good routine. Doesn't need to be a hard and fast schedule, but a good routine. Make sure your baby is getting all of the recommended hours of sleep. So if you need to, get an app and track the sleep and make sure they're getting that recommended 14 to 16 hours of sleep. Make sure that they're getting their naps in time. So if a baby at 3 months old, even into 4 months old, should really only be awake for about an hour to an hour and a half before they're going down for their next nap. Make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that your environment's conducive for naps. As your baby becomes more alert, they may need a darker, quieter area to nap in, whereas a newborn can kind of sleep almost anywhere. As they get older and more alert, you're probably going to need to invest in some blackout shades and some things like that so that your baby is napping for a decent period of time. Gone are the days of cat naps. Your baby should really be sleeping for at least one sleep cycle. So we're talking an hour to an hour and a half each nap. So if you're doing some of these things, if you had worked on a good circadian rhythm, if you have a good routine going, your child is getting the recommended amount of sleep in a 24-hour period, they're not having too long of wakeful periods, odds are you're going to really set yourself up for success to avoid having the 4-month regression. Those were some of the things I honestly had those components missing. When I started to go through what I thought was a 4-month sleep regression, Q did not know how to self-soothe at all. So I had that going against me. At this point, Q really was not on any type of a schedule. I had always hated the idea of a schedule, so she would have longer periods of wakefulness and her naps would a lot of times be really short. I didn't have really great sleep environment, like that was conducive for longer naps. So at the end of the day, I had really set myself up for failure, and I think that's why I saw some of the sleep regression that I saw. Once I corrected those things and I spent some time fixing it, our problem really went away. Like I said, I'm going to make a whole video outlining exactly what I did and the technique that I used, and there's going to be a whole review for it. But just know that you can avoid the 4-month sleep regression. Do not think that it is a stage of development that you absolutely have to go through. So like I said, we were battling a little bit of sleep regression stuff, but you're watching this video and learning some really great tips and techniques, and so you're not going to have to. So what you can look forward to when your child is about 4 months of age is having a pretty good and steady bedtime routine and a good and steady bedtime. Your child will still be getting about between 4 and at 4 months old, they might even start pushing it into a 6-hour stretch. They might be. Your child will let you know when they're ready to do it, but some 4 months old might be even pushing a 4-hour or a 6-hour stretch at night. So they're gonna have a good bedtime routine. They might be sleeping anywhere between a 4 and 6-hour stretch at night. They're going to be having really good, predictable daytime naps, okay? So your child is going to be awake. Their wakeful period is going to be anywhere from about an hour and a half to at most 2 hours, and they're going to have about 3 or 4 naps during the day. So you're going to start having a pretty predictable day. Just a sample, obviously I am a stay-at-home mom, so this is really, really different than what some of you may have, but our day starts at 7, that's wake up time. So we wake up, Q, we play, she eats, we have breakfast, we do kind of our morning thing, and between 8:15 and at the very absolute latest, 9 o'clock, Q's going back down for a morning nap. She's sleeping anywhere from, an hour and a half-ish to maybe 2 hours. She's waking up, we're playing, we're doing our thing, and then about an hour and a half to 2 hours later, she's going down for another nap. And we pretty much just do this at this age. She wasn't going to bed until about 8 or 8:30, until about 8 or 8:30, and then I would start doing her bedtime routine and get her down for her bedtime, and then, Daddy and I would come to bed a little bit later. And so it started to have some really great predictability, and it pretty much will stay that way. That's pretty much what your child's schedule is going to look like from, if you establish a good little routine with your day, if your kiddo is having a good nap, they're taking 3 to 4 naps, they are sleeping longer stretches of the night, it's pretty much going to look that way up until they're about 6 months old. What will happen each month is your child may drop a nap. So when they get to be about 5 months of age, instead of having, let's say, 4 daytime naps, they might only have 3. When they get to be about 6 months of age, instead of having 3, they might only have 2 long ones. So that's what will change there. Additionally, their nighttime stretches will get longer. So like I said, a 4-month-old is probably doing, you know, between a 4 and a 6 hour stretch. A 5-month-old is doing a 5 or 6 hour stretch, and then a 6-month-old can safely go about 7 or 8 hours of sleep at night. So by the time your child gets to the end of this developmental stage, their sleep is mirroring your sleep a lot more. They're sleeping more at night, probably only waking for 1 or 2 late night feedings. They're sleeping, you know, by the end, when they're 6 months old, I mean, they could just be doing 1 nighttime feeding and sleeping a good 6 or 7 hour stretch, which most adults only get about 6 or 7 hours of sleep anyway. So their sleep is going to start mirroring more of yours. So if you recall back when I was talking about the newborns, how it does get easier, as you can see, it really does. So some recaps. A 3 to 6 month old is going to be getting between 14 and 16 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. Things that you can look forward to in this stage of development is when they're about 3 months old, you can start instilling a good little bedtime routine. You can start developing a good nap schedule. They're going to have more wakeful periods during the day because they can now differentiate day and night sleep. So you're going to have more wakeful periods during the day where you can play and interact with your child more. You're going to get longer and longer stretches of sleep at night between the ages of 3 and 6 months. Your child's going to start being able to self-soothe and put themselves to sleep independently at night. And this is what's going to help them have those longer stretches in between feedings at night. You're going to be able to start doing a smidge of night weaning. I wouldn't recommend 100% night weaning during this stage of development. Your child should still be getting, you know, in the earlier stage when they're about 3 months, the 2 or even 3 nighttime feedings, and then that gradually fades down to 1 or 2 by the time they're 6 months of age. So this stage of development really gets easier. Q just really finished this stage of development not too long ago. We were obviously in this stage for a while. Like I said, we had some hurdles. I'm going to make a separate video about that for you. But by the time this stage of development ended for us, I mean, Q really had a really great sleep routine down, and she's pretty much been, like I said, knock on wood, she has pretty much been sleeping really well since the end of that stage of development. So this is really the stage of development where you want to instill some of these skills. It's going to get a lot harder when your baby enters into the next stage of development and gets older and bigger. If they have some bad habits instilled in them as they get older, it's going to be much harder to break those bad habits. So spend your time while you're in this stage of development to instill some of those skills that they're going to need to be good independent sleepers, and not just for selfish reasons, that obviously if they're good independent sleepers, mom and dad get to sleep better, but because, like I said, your baby is one day going to be a big baby and then a big kid, and you want to set them up for good nighttime sleep success. Sleeping is so important to their learning and to their growth and development that you do not want to have a bad sleeper on your hands. Could make, you know, life, not just for you, but particularly for them, really challenging. I definitely noticed, and it could have just been a coincidence, but I am always going to believe that it is the sleep that made the difference. I swear that as soon as I fixed some of those problems that I had with Q, where she was waking every hour and just really wasn't getting the sleep that she needed, as soon as I fixed that, it is within 1 week, Q had started rolling over, which she wasn't doing yet and should have been. She just became so much more alert and just started doing things that she previously had not been doing. So I am a firm believer that the sleep is what's really going to help your child be able to grow and learn and excel in the way that they need to. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to watch more, check out one of my other videos and subscribe to my page. I'm also really active on other social media outlets, so please follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You can click on the links on my page or search me using @officialthatmom. Thank you again so much for watching, and always remember, don't be afraid to be that mom. I'll see you next time. Bye.